It seems like I do this video at least once a year. So I'll be doing it this year as well. Shalom, this is Fallen Yeshua. Welcome again to the Rock. And we are in my chicken coop. Why? Because there's a fertilizer problem in this country. They don't know if they're going to have enough fertilizer. Dun, dun, dun. Also, if you enjoy this sort of content, I would happily refer you to my Patreon channel where I'll be doing a lot of videos like this. I'm doing this one for YouTube as kind of a little advertisement. But also, any video I do on Patreon, I will release on YouTube. Probably a month or two later. But I will release it on YouTube. So if you cannot, even afford the $1, and I know, hey, times are hard right now, don't worry, the video will be released on YouTube as well. But if you want to support, hallelujah, you can go to my Patreon channel, and we will be talking about gardening, homesteading videos specifically, and a lot of gardening. But for this video, fertilizer problem, right? Not really. Not here in the Rock. I've been producing my own compost / fertilizer, whatever I call it, for the past 4 years. And I have never ran out. In fact, I've been in overabundance of fertilizer. So you can see right here. First I want to show you the outside of my coop. You see how far down it is down there? And you see how high the level of compost is up here. And all this is leaves and sticks. Leaves and sticks. Food scraps that we have from the house. But mostly leaves and sticks. You can see that stick right there buried. And I have 2 coops in here for my 80, 90, 100 plus chickens. I have one right here. And then I have one right there. And in this coop, or in this run, for our layers, we use leaves also. So inside of my layers, I actually use leaves. I don't use anything else but leaves. I don't buy straw or any of that stuff. I just use leaves. But you can see, here's one of my composted bins. The Emmer, this thing is probably 4 feet tall with compost. Look at all that. Made right here. And I'll show you what I do. It's a very scientific process. And right here, I was scooping some of it out. And look at this. You can see the earthworms in it. Try to hold the shovel steady. I have earthworms all throughout this compost. Because what happens is throughout the winter, when this stuff starts breaking down by itself in the chicken coop, it warms up, and obviously the earthworms like that. So they will come. They will come in here and stay warm. Now, obviously, the chickens will also come in here and eat them. And, circle of life, Lion King. So, you see my chickens right now, they just got fed. We throw even large sticks in here because they'll poop on that, and those sticks will start breaking down. And if not, hey, there's roosting areas. Obviously, I have this roosting area. They tend to like this one a little bit more. And then inside their coops, obviously, I have areas for them to roost for nighttime. We have so many that are still in the coops right now laying. Quampok. But you can see the different things that I use. Some of these are feed bags. But we throw everything. When we weed, we throw the weeds in here. And everything's turned into a compost. You can see how thick that is right there. See how thick that is, a compost that I have to come in here and take out. See how thick that is, compost. They're making dust bathing areas right now, so they're digging holes. But you saw one of my bins. Now let's leave the chicken coop. Wait for my son. Close the door, son. And right over here, there's another one. And you can see how big these compost bins are. This one's probably 3.5 feet. Just use some pallets and some cat food bags as the inside wrap. And cat and dog food bags. And then filled it up with the bags. And I use my old feed bags that I have when I buy feed, bring it here. You'll see it, you'll get a better look right over there. You see all the feed bags, and there's 1, 2, and then 3 bins there. 3 bins of compost. This is how easy it is to make it. You know, with what's going on in Russia and the crisis that's going on, it's amazing that, you know, traditional American agriculture is suffering right now. It's amazing that people are saying, you know, they don't know how they're gonna be able to, you know, get compost for their farms or whatever, because we depend so much on importations of things when you have the ability to do it right here. I mean, look at this stuff. I just want to just look at this. This is compost. Look at that. You can see the earthworms right there. Look at that. This is the compost that I produce right here in Iraq. And as you can see, I mean, look at this stuff. It's just beautiful. It's just ready to be used. And all this is leaves and, you know, my feed bags and sticks and anything else that I choose to put in there to be composted. You know, I have compost, you know, when I first moved here 4.5 years ago, or over 5 years ago, I bought, hold on, look at that, all-purpose fertilizer. It's so old that you can barely see it. 3 bags of it. 1, 2, and 3. Never used it, because I found out that it's easier for me to do this and saves me tons of money. I bought those because they were on clearance. They were on clearance. But when you can make your own compost, when you can make it, your own compost, which then brings, you know, the worms, which will come in here and eat up this compost. They will eat it up. Look at that. They will eat it up. So while they're going through it and eating through it, you have worm castings, and yes, I even have string in here. This is from the feed bags. I just throw it in here too. Anything that is carbon that will break down goes in there. Here's another bag of old compost that I bought, like the tomato feed stuff. Right there, 4 years old, never used it. Still sitting there. You can make your own compost. How do I do it? Falling short, how do you make your own compost? Easy. Bin of leaves. We will throw hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of, these are half-gallon, these are 55-gallon barrels cut in half. So, 22.5 gallons? So 22.5 gallon barrels full of leaves. But weekly, we will probably do 5 to 10 of these a week, where we will dump these. You know, we do it in our gardens, obviously. You see all those leaves in there. And then what I'll do is I'll put a layer of compost down, and then plant the seeds in the compost. And then put another layer of compost down and plant the seeds in that compost. Again, for those of you on my Patreon, you'll see exactly how I do it on my Patreon channel. But leaves. And another thing that you can use, that I use, is wood ash. Wood ash contains magnesium, potassium, calcium, and manganese and phosphorus. Potash is what they call it. And I like to throw this in my chicken coop because the chickens will actually eat this, because there's calcium and there's nutrients in it. So they'll actually eat this. Also, chickens will use this as their dust bath. So when you pour it in there, they'll, as long as it's not really wet, like right now it's a little bit damp in there, so they'll probably just absorb it into the compost. But that will, they'll take dust baths in that, and it'll help kill any mites that are on their skin or in their feathers or anything like that. So, and then it adds to the nutrients of the compost. The potash, the magnesium, the phosphorus, the manganese, and the calcium. And also, for those who didn't know, I built, you know, my land's kind of a little slope. So if you see, when it rains, the water comes downhill. Some of it will come into the chicken coop, or it'll rain and it'll kind of, you know, congregate in the chicken coop, and it'll wash out through the screen here, and then it'll feed my pear trees. These are pear trees down here, and then I have a couple of figs down there. And then I'm taking all this out right here, and I'm putting more goji berries. So that's just a little tidbit of using the slope, the contour of your land. I learned that from Brother David, my beloved brother. One of his wives told me about it, and taught using the contour of your land. And I took her advice, and it's been, I mean, these trees have blossomed heavily this last year. But anyways, not about that. So, in a dog food bag, I save all my dog food bags. We had a heavy windstorm that came through and blew everything everywhere. So I've been picking up stuff all day. But anyways, leaves. So leaves, sticks. I have some grasses in here. I have some twigs in here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this into my run. Have one of my assistants. Hey, dude. You gonna help me? Okay. Got his little muck boots on already. He's ready to go. Alright, so this is all I do. So because of the contour of it, and again you can see how much compost, how many leaves have broken down, and how thick this layer is. So I'm gonna dump it, and what happens is it'll all eventually work its way down to here. And same with the poop and everything, and it'll break down here. It'll all break down right here, in this area right here. Basically, from those poles and going down is where they'll congregate. But you can see they love their leaves because there's worms in them, there's bugs in them, there's larvae in them. Yeah, they're all ready. Yeah, they're ready. Like yeah. Give me some leaves. Yeah, give me leaves. Yeah, give me the leaves. And your land produces leaves. My land produces an abundance of leaves. So all I have to do is just get the leaves in here. And I'm making my own fertilizer. See, they're already digging. Well, they were digging. Let's just get them their leaves. It's kind of difficult to do with one hand. So then what they'll do is that. And just think, we'll do this, again, 10 times a week, at least 10 times a week. And this just produces what my fertilizer is made out of. This right here. And what I did for my barrels is I cut them in half, and then I drilled holes in each side. And then just threw a rope through it. Makes them easier to carry. There they are. So my daughter's coming in right now. She's doing the egg layers, and this is what we use. Each one of my older daughters has their own chicken coop that they take care of, maintain. Basically, they put leaves in the egg layers, and that's how they. That's what the chickens lay on. So she's about to be doing that. But now we're coming back in with my wood ash. And since we cook outside and we burn wood, we cook inside, but we also have the ability to cook outside. And they enjoy cooking outside on the open fire. Puts a different flavor in the food. We have tons and tons of ash. Tons of ash. So I'll just pour this down. And they'll also eat some of the little charcoal bits. I don't know if you've ever seen in a forest fire, when a forest fire burns an area out, animals will go and gnaw on the charred wood. Well, it's because it's charcoal. And we all know what charcoal will do for your own body to help kill any parasites or anything inside their body. That's why animals, you'll see deer run through a burned forest and start gnawing on the wood. Dogs will do it. We've seen our dog take charred bits of wood and gnaw on it. It's getting the charcoal off because it knows that it's natural. It'll help cleanse itself. Please consult your doctor. I'm not a doctor, so I'm telling you what I do. I'm not telling you what you should do. But my chickens love this stuff, so I'll just pour this out. Just like that. Now I also pour this stuff in my gardens straight, and the chickens will. It helps with your gardens, especially if you like growing like fruit bearing. This will help greatly with your fruit bearing. plants. It'll also help greatly with potatoes or any ground crops. It helps generally with everything. Now, these are just the things that you can do. You know, you saw my compost bins, and I only showed you some of my compost bins. I have many, many, many more compost bins that I compost all this stuff because it's an unlimited amount of stuff. It's an unlimited amount of manure that these chickens will produce that I can then compost. Now, once I put it in my compost bin, I'll leave it there for 5 or 6 months, let it break down, and I'll use it in my gardens. And it's a constant process. It's a constant process. Also, your body obviously produces fertilizer that most people don't utilize. And if we got back to our roots, if we got back to our agricultural ways, you see the chickens are already going through it. If we got back to our old ways, we would be so much better. So much better. You see they're eating the wood ash right now. Oh, that one found some eggs. You know, they'll go through the wood ash and eat it, and it provides them with calcium, so it helps with their egg production also. If you didn't know, wood ash does produce calcium, or there's calcium in wood ash, and it helps it'll help them with their egg producing ability. All right, one last thing before we go. Let's just go see what my daughter's doing. She just came into one of the coops. You see all the leaves they have in the bottom right there? You see what she's doing? She just fills them up with leaves. We use leaves for everything here. See that? Chickens will go in there, they'll stand around in it, mash it around, flatten it, and then they'll lay in it. So produce your own, let me get out here. Produce your own fertilizer. Don't rely on them to import it. Make your own. It's that easy. It's this easy to make your own fertilizer. And you won't have to worry about what is happening in Russia because you will have an abundance of fertilizer. And you're also helping your chickens, and you're feeding your chickens, and you're providing better health for your chickens, all at one time. Make your own fertilizer. Stop relying on the system. Come out of her. Bless y'all. Shalom.